Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Now, that was a weekend of football. Good, bad, ugly, but that was some good football. Man, are we into it now? And it's football overreaction Monday, and can't wait for the next 2 hours. God, I got a sheet full of stuff here. Nick Geddes, good morning to you from On 3 Sports. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. These are the kind of shows that you wait for, I feel like.
Yeah.
This was such an action-packed weekend in football, and you couldn't have put it any better. It was good, bad, and ugly. We have so much on the spectrum, but so much to break down. So much to break down.
It's from college on Saturday to incredible Bucs victory. I'm going to get into this in the monologue here in a second, but I don't think I've seen a grittier, more gutsy win by the Buccaneers, and it bodes well for this team moving forward. Unfortunately, injuries are just devastating this football team, and I'm not sure how long they can hold on, but we'll get to all that. Saturday was such a mixed bag, and you leave the weekend just going, how in the hell can FSU fall so fast, so hard? There's reasons for that, and I'm going to get to all of them. Pat Burnham's going to join us at 11 o'clock from the Osceola. His post-game shows are going viral now, and our Seminole Sidelines chats have been huge. And it's interesting how the numbers go up when the team gets bad. But there's reasons for what's going on in Tallahassee, and we'll get to them. What's happening in Florida seems to be very coach-centric. It seems to be very, very coach-centric, and that team has lost its way. They're going through it as well. They get boat raced by a very average Texas A&M team as far as I'm concerned, with their backup quarterback. Yikes. Things are very scary in Gainesville. But there you see it right there. USF.
Well, hold on. I didn't even notice this. Are you wearing a USF polo and a Florida State hat right now?
I am. I'm like, this is now taking center stage over this in my emotional college football day. I know what's going on at Florida State. This is going to be a rebuilding year, but this is something special. Okay. And they got a game coming up this week against Miami. They just opened up the upper deck. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead. Yell at me. Oh, no, you're jumping on the bandwagon. No, I've been in the back. I get it. We're huge Bulls supporters. You guys know that. We talk Bulls football all the time. But I'm just, as I look forward to the weekend now, I'm not going to be looking what time does Florida State play, and planning my whole weekend around that. No.
Hey, by the way, they're in primetime next week on ESPN.
It's about this one. It's about number 8 Miami coming to number 29, whatever USF is right now. And let's go. Let's play. The upper deck's open. Let's fill it with Bulls fans instead of Canes fans. They want to get out of Miami and come to a real city and watch a real football team in a real stadium. They want all that, so they're coming. Let's lock them out, and put more Bulls fans in there than Canes fans because they're coming. They're coming.
Hey, by the way, you know who else is coming?
Who's that?
Dion's coming to Orlando next weekend.
Oh, really? This weekend?
2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Oh.
Hey, I'm telling you, UCF 21-point deficit erased in Fort Worth against TCU. Won that ball game on Saturday night. And here comes Colorado for the next game.
I had them in one of my parlays, and I'd given up. I didn't. What happened at the end of that game?
We were down 28-7, and the UCF offense somehow just caught fire. Late third quarter, fourth quarter, we took the lead with 36 seconds left, and then TCU attempted a 50-yard field goal with no time left on the clock and missed it. And UCF won 35-34.
Wow.
Next two games against Colorado and Florida. So you're going to be forced to watch my UCF Knights now. This is
the world we live in now. I mean, if you're ranking the teams in the state of Florida, I think you still have to have Miami at the top. That may change this week. That may change. just because of their talent level. That's about it. Miami's done nothing yet. They've done nothing yet. I mean, going into Florida, obviously Texas A&M did the same thing. So Miami hasn't done anything yet. They look great. They have a great quarterback, but we'll see what happens when it gets into the fire. Cam Ward looks fantastic when your receivers are running wide open everywhere, and it's a party and you're out in front. We've seen him play from behind, and it's he's not Superman. So we'll see what happens when he gets in a hostile environment against a good football team. And I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying let's not give Miami their first ACC championship just yet. Let's just wait and see. All right, but let's get into it with the Bucs. And Nikki, you've been a fan your entire life. I've covered this team for 27 years from as a credentialed media, and of course, for almost 35 years, 40 years in covering football here in the state of Florida. I was searching my memory for a more gritty, gutty, important win for the Buccaneers in the regular season, and I can't find it. They could not run the football yesterday. They couldn't run the football. They weren't going to run the football. 23 carries for 70 yards, an average of 3 yards. Couldn't run the football. Okay, well, we got a great passing game, and we got lots of receivers, and, well, then there's Aiden Hutchinson. You can't drop back and throw the football. Okay, I got a play sheet here. I can't run it. I can't drop back and throw it. What the hell are we going to do? Baker Mayfield. We'll just let Baker bake. Just let him run around, do crazy shit, see what happens. Okay, sure. He got it done. He freaking got it done. That was as gutsy a quarterback performance, twisted into a pretzel at one point, knocked in the neck with a karate chop that should have been called. He just winces a little bit, gets off, runs to the sideline, and comes back for more. Get your weight up. Let's go. Let's freaking go. Let's freaking bake. LFB. I mean, those runs, those back-to-back runs should be put on a highlight reel forever. He jukes the hell out of that linebacker. What's his name? Coleman? Whatever. That dude
came out of his shoes.
Freeze-framed Barry Sanders in his own house sort of type deal. I love that the announcers went there. That was fantastic. Gives him the dead leg, and the frozen shot is just going to be, somebody's got to frame that and put it in his freaking locker. You got to put it in his locker. And then haven't deciphered this yet. Maybe Baker was asked and I missed it, but either Liam Cohen calls the quarterback draw or he checks to it.
He did. But Liam called it.
Yeah, Liam. And I'm like, why not? Why not? The hottest runner you got is Baker Mayfield. And that pass rush is coming hard, right? It's just, you want Aiden Hutchinson want to come hard? Go. Just run right by me. I'm going up the middle on a quarterback draw. What a great freaking call. He gets one good block, makes a great move, and then carries 3 tacklers into the end zone. Ha! Are you freaking kidding me? Baker fucking Mayfield. That was so freaking good. I couldn't help but drop that one. That was worthy of it. I mean, and you have 185 yards passing. That's not what it is. But he made the big throws when he had to have them. Scrambled out of the pocket, getting key first downs, finding Chris Godwin, who doesn't drop footballs, does nothing but catch footballs in traffic, in hurricanes, tornadoes. It doesn't matter. The dude's coming down with the effing ball. It's just the way it is. And, we'll get into some nuances of the game, but Jalen McMillan will learn that it doesn't matter if it's pass interference. You got to make the freaking play. You cost me $500 on my parlay, but that's okay. We love you anyway. Go make the play. Stop looking for a flag. But Chris Godwin is he's the man when it comes to clutch catches, and you got to have it. I love Mike Evans. I'm not nothing against Mike Evans, but Chris Godwin, the two of them to me are as good a tandem as you have in a league. I don't care. You can have your Jamar Chases, T. Higgins. You can have whoever you want. That's the best tandem in the league. It's the best winning tandem in the league right there. And now they got an offensive coordinator that can open it up. Now to the defense, 7 trips into the red zone, The Lions, one of the best offenses in the game, the most varied offenses in the game, scores 1 touchdown. Are you freaking kidding me? Jordan Whitehead, 11 tackles, and so many of them were clutch tackles in the open field. Now, we've been beating on teams for bad tackling. That was an effing clinic in tackling. From Christian Izzian to Servassier Dennis to Jordan Whitehead. I'm leaving people to JTS, even played his ass off.
Tyke
Smith. Yes. I mean, so many guys. Zion McCullum, what a day he had. He is turning into one hell of a corner. Physical, smart, big, nasty. I mean, he's got it all. That dude has got it all. He could be one of the best in the game. That defense, without Vita Vea for half the game, without Kalijah Cansey, I mean, they balled their ass off. That was and for the team, 4th down conversions. Doesn't matter. We're coming back. We're going to stop them. 3rd down conversions. Don't matter. We're going to stop them. 3rd, 4th, the fake punts. I don't care. We're coming back. We're going to stop you again. I mean, time and time again, Detroit made plays in certain situations. Hell, they outgained them, 463 to 216. Outgained them 460, and the Bucs still won the football with heart. Football game with heart, guts, gritty. I mean, it was that, and that just tells you that what this team has inside. This is why this team wins. Their talent is pretty good. It's pretty good. They got a good roster, but it's not great. It's not great, but they have heart and they play their ass off. You know, if there's one thing I could say about Todd Bowles, and we can nitpick the challenges and the timeouts and all that stuff, he's freaking William Wallace. When it comes to marshaling the troops and getting them to go, he's freaking William Wallace. These guys will freaking run down that hill for them into a charging army. They don't care. They do not care. He gets their ass to play, especially that defense. And he gets them ready, too. He gets them ready to play. You know, your backups, I don't care. Go get it. And to me, that's the understanding. We're going to talk about some negative stuff. But to me, that is so far above everything else. Go freaking play football. It's blocking and tackling when it comes down to it. And if you want it bad enough, because tackling's just desire in a lot of different ways. If you want it bad enough, you're going to get that guy on the ground. And that defense, man, there's a tip of the cap. I've seen some great defensive efforts by, you know, the original Super Bowl team. That Monty Kiffin Bucs defense was one of the best tackling teams I've ever seen in my life. I think Rondé Barber would light up a cigar, and in fact, I'm quite sure he has, to that defensive effort. I bet he was jumping out of his chair watching those guys play time and time again. I'll try to get Rondé on the show this week because I'm sure he wants to crow about this, because for a defensive guy, that's like an 85-point outburst. You know, and you can look at the numbers, the 463 and all that stuff. I don't care.
Who cares?
That was a defense that just was not going to lose this freaking game. And I loved it, man. I could not have been more excited watching a low-scoring football game. That was one hell of an effort.
Well, let me pull out a Nicky numbers stat right here, because you had mentioned it. The Lions went 1 for 7 in the red zone. That's a 14.3% hit rate for the Lions. And so from a defensive standpoint, that is tied for the second best rate in a game with 7 or more red zone possessions since 2000.
Wow.
That is how special.
That is Nicky numbers right there.
That is how special the Buccaneers defense was yesterday, defending the final 20 yards of grass. That's how special it was. It was a remarkable defensive performance, and you mentioned it. I've been watching Buccaneer football for my entire life. Now, I want to point this out. I was too young to remember the glory years with all the guys that you just mentioned it, the original Super Bowl winning team. I have been waiting for the Buccaneers to finally, all these years later, to finally have a team that is truly tough and tough to play against. And I've seen coaches come in here, looking at you, Mr. Schiano, and preach that we're going to be the toughest team to play against, and we're all going to, but it was all gimmicks. He was a gimmick. Lovie Smith was a gimmick. Dirk Cutter was a gimmick. And I'm going to say this right now, JP, and I don't know if you would agree with this. The Buccaneers teams with Brady and Arians, they out-talented you.
Yes, they did.
They out-talented you.
Yep.
This Buccaneer team is not nearly as talented as that one, but I think they're tougher, JP.
Yeah.
I think they're tougher, and I think it starts. I know the defense is the reason why the Bucs won that football game yesterday. But I look at the leader on this team, the unquestioned leader and the face of this franchise is Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
And his toughness, the dog that he's got in him,
Yep.
I think that permeates to everybody else on this football team.
Absolutely.
I think that's what you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen a Buccaneer team be this tough to play against. And the Lions, that's not an easy team to play against.
And no.
It's not an easy team to play against. And I'll tell you what, that game felt like a playoff game. It was tight. It was low scoring. Every yard mattered. Every play mattered. That was a playoff game. You went in there on the road. Yeah. You were sick to your stomach about how your season ended last year. And remember, Todd Bowles had 9 months to chew on it. Because the benefit of playing the Lions in week 2, as opposed to having to play them mid-season or something like that, you pretty much know what you're going to get from Detroit. You can spend a good chunk of that offseason, I probably would guess, game planning for what you're going to do with the Lions. Of course, you game plan for Washington, but I think he probably spent a lot of time figuring out, okay, how am I finally going to beat this Lions team? How am I finally going to crack the code, if you will, how to beat Jared Goff? And was it perfect? No, they gave up 450 yards of offense. I mean, the Lions got theirs. Amon-Ra St. Brown, as we predicted, had a day, but I don't think he gashed the Bucs necessarily.
No,
I don't think he gashed the Bucs necessarily. I think Jahmyr Gibbs gashed him a few times. He did, but I thought they did generally a pretty good job, even though Amon-Ra St. Brown, the numbers were there. I don't think he really broke the game open necessarily. But just the way they played on defense, and you mentioned it, from Zion McCollum to Servassier Dennis to Christian Izien to Tyke Smith. I mean, and even Yaya Diaby, who was credited with 6 pressures in this game. I know he didn't get the sack, but I thought Yaya impacted this game. And actually, when he got into Jared Goff's face, I mean, you saw him. He gave you 2 picks. And those were both when you finally got a little pressure in his face. He threw 2 picks. And all those names that I mentioned, JP, Jason likes, just his eye for talent, and this whole front office's eye for talent. It was all over this game. Yep. His fingerprints were all over this game because these players that I all just mentioned, none of these guys were first-round picks. Mm-mm. None of these guys were second-round picks.
Yeah, UDFA's running around there.
And in Christian Izien's sake, a UFA who had his job taken away from him by Tyke Smith, who you brought in, and with all these injuries, he has to go back and play safety, and he balled his ass out. He balled his ass out.
He's such a good tackler. He's such a smart football player. He's just a great, tough, gritty football player. Those guys were all over the field yesterday.
They were all over the field. To me, it really was, of all the years that Todd Bowles has been a head coach, and I mean, I'm sure he had some signature wins in New York and stuff like that, particularly the year where I think they went 10-6 with Fitzy at quarterback. But in terms of his time here in Tampa Bay, this to me was the best win that the Bucs have had in the regular season. There's no other way around it. And the Bucs, I don't care what anybody says, they've arrived. They've arrived. Look around the NFC. The 49ers lost yesterday to the Vikings. The Cowboys got their ass kicked by the Saints. And the Buccaneers went into Detroit and put a statement out there that, hey, we're here. And to compare it a little bit, it kind of reminds me a little bit of what the Bucs did back in 2002 in that regular season game against Philly, or in the NFC Championship game, rather, where they had so many cracks at Philly and they finally got to Detroit here. Yeah. Now, we'll see if they see him again in the playoffs, and that's where it's really going to count.
Yep.
But they proved it today.
I'd like to get him down here.
Yeah, you'd like to get him down here, but they proved it today that without all those guys playing, that's what makes it even more special, is there was no Vita Vea for half that game, no Antoine Winfield Jr., no Kalijah Cansey, and it didn't matter. The Bucs still were able to pull it out because they were the tougher team yesterday.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. And, and what bodes well about this team moving forward are those guys that went out there and played. Tyke Smith is a legitimate, really good football player. We've forgotten about Servassier Dennis because he was hurt last year. And we've heard things, from Todd Bowles, like this guy's going to play a lot. And he's going to be in the starting rotation pretty damn soon. And he's a playmaker. He's a playmaker. That play that he made against Jahmyr Gibbs on the screen, the action's going to the right, and he takes a couple of steps to his left and literally crosses the midpoint of the football field. He's on the left side of the football field as this play starts. They come back to the quarterback's left, his right, and they throw a screen pass to one of the fastest players in football in Jahmyr Gibbs. And Servassier Dennis runs so fast and takes such a good angle that the Ragnow, the all-pro offensive lineman out in front, doesn't even see him. He comes behind the wall. It was going to be a touchdown and just takes him down with a sure tackle, knocking him backwards. So many times the Buccaneers knocked the ball carrier backwards. The pile was going backwards. If you watch these bozos play on Saturday, FSU, every time the back falls forward, every single time the pile pushes forward. It's a lack of heart. It's a lack of tackling. It's afraid to put your face in the fan. The Bucs are everything that FSU is not. They are a tough football team. They have heart and they play their asses off. And this makes this defense better. Can they play the whole year without Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey? No, they cannot. It's not possible to do that in the NFL. They need both of those guys back. And unfortunately, I have no idea how severe this calf injury is, but it's worse. It's not just a little thing. And it's 2 years in a row for Kalijah Kancey, and that's a very bad sign. And I hate that, I don't want to be a killjoy, but it is what it is. Vita Vea's got an MCL sprain. For a man that big, it's not just like you can come back in 3 or 4 weeks. It's that to me is going to be some extended time. Will he be back for the playoffs? I would think he could be, depending on the severity of the sprain.
Well, he should be. I mean, he's not going to be out for that long, I don't think, for a sprain. But it could be something he has to play through.
A sprain is a torn ligament. It's torn. That means it's partially torn. So how is it 10%? Is it 60%? We don't know that until they get the MRI. So we just have to wait and see. I can tell you this. They're not winning anything without Kalijah Kancey and Vita Vea. As much as I want to give them their flowers and it's a hell of a win. You went out and got it. You can't get through a season with a bunch of backup defensive tackles. You're going to get gashed in the run game. They're just
they have to find a way at some point to get more pressure. Like I mentioned, Yaya Diaby did his job yesterday. I know he didn't get a sack, like I said, but I think he generally impacted the game. But you can't continue to go on like that. I think yesterday was one of those perfect storm sort of deals where they were extremely motivated. Like even like Zion McCollum, for example, I point him out because if you recall last year in that playoff game against Detroit, Zion, I believe there was an injury in that game. Was it to Carlton, right?
Yeah.
And Zion ended up having to play a lot in that football game, and the Lions were picking on him to the point where the broadcast, I think Collinsworth kept saying, like, they're going after 27. Like, they weren't even naming him by name. They were just like, they're going after 27, the backup and stuff like that. I'm sure Zion had that on repeat and had that in his mind of like, hey, I got something to prove today. Yep. And he went out there, and I can't recall him really allowing much the entire game. He probably could have had 2 or 3 interceptions, if we're being completely honest with you. Yeah. And then Jordan Whitehead, no Antoine Winfield Jr., but my goodness, he played just like Antoine Winfield Jr. yesterday.
Sure did.
He did everything. And in terms of what the Bucs defense looked like last year to this year, name me a bigger upgrade than Ryan Neal to Jordan Whitehead.
Yeah.
Name me a bigger upgrade than that.
Well, as I'm watching the game yesterday, that's what I was reminded of. I was like, every time that Goff completed a pass, there were 3 guys around him and the tackle was made. It was like, wow, these guys are on it. They are so technically sound. It reminded me back when the Bucs were playing Tampa too. And it's like, you feel like you're suffocated. There's nowhere to go. You can't beat a man, but you can't beat a man-to-man. Every time you throw into his zone, guys are there in a flash because they know where the ball's going. It's like, and that's what it felt like. They were just so prepared, and they made the tackle too, right there on the spot almost every single time against some really, I think Montgomery and Gibbs and Amon Ra, that all their roster, their tight end, everybody, their run yards after the catch is, I think they even mentioned that as a stat in the game. They're the best in the league at it. And the Bucs shut that shit down. I mean, for in the big moments, I mean, they got 463 yards. I'm not, it is what it is. But in the moments when they needed the plays, those guys were on it. And Bowles had great play calls. They knew where they were going with the football, and they rallied and made the tackle.
Yeah. Keep in mind too, like even through the passing game, all those yards that Goff had, I think he had 307 yards in this game through 55 times, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, 307 when you throw 55 times, like I'll take that.
Yeah.
And the only play, like early in the game, I think Jameson Williams had a 50-yard catch where he got behind Jamel Dean.
Yep.
But outside of that, Jamison Williams caught 4 other balls for 29 yards. So outside of that play, I don't really think he truly impacted the game. Jahmyr Gibbs, the yards per average looks really good on the ground, but he got 24 of those on that 4th down, the second to last defensive possession of the game where the Bucs had to hold. Remember, they did the 4th and 1, and he got 24. He gashed him there. So outside of those 2 big explosives, I think for the most part, the Bucs finally they played bend not break, and it actually worked in this game.
Yeah. I think. Listen, when you can tackle like that, it definitely takes care of a lot of ills. And that's why I think Bowles he coached around his injuries so well. I mean, he just knew exactly which buttons to push. And listen, that's his first win, as far as I can remember, over Jared Goff, who has absolutely owned them. Well, no, they got a win back a few years ago, but in a high-scoring affair in LA. But for the most part,
exactly defend him well in that one, though.
Yeah, exactly. Jared Goff, I think they had 45 points. Jared Goff has gashed him, and I think Bowles has figured it out. At least that yesterday, that round went to Todd Bowles and his defense, and it was a hell of an effort. But I just can't, underscore enough how good the leadership of Baker Mayfield is. The post-game press conferences are a perfect example of that. Let's play this one. I think this is the one with Laura Oakman. Let's play this one.
Baker Mayfield. Dan Campbell told us this week he wanted to put this game on Baker Mayfield's shoulders. So I want to see how your shoulders are feeling and how that challenge was accepted by you.
It's never an individual effort. It's not. I can't say enough about our defense. That is not an easy team to play against. And them, they're going for it, fake punts, going for it on a 4th down. Our defense holding up in the end right there, that's not easy. So I can't say enough about those guys. You know what? Honestly, not horrible clock management on my part in that last drive right there. Got to make them take a timeout to where they can't have an extra one. So it's always good to learn lessons when you win. But we can be better on offense. But this is a tough game, tough environment. And I'm so proud of our guys the way we hung in there.
Yeah. That was, right to the right. She throws it out there, and I don't mean like she was trying to do this. I think it's just kind of subconsciously, Baker has a chip on his shoulder. You throw it out there that the other coach is challenging you, and you want him to, to snap back. Like, yeah, well, you got some, but he didn't. He went immediately to the team card and the defense card, showed the humility. Spot on effort there in the post game.
Yeah. So we covered a lot of the defense. So offensively, Baker made the throws that he needed to, and particularly like Chris Godwin. It was really all in that first half. The Rod God is back, by the way. The Rod God is back. This is pre the first ACL tear that he had there in late 2021. This is the Chris Godwin we saw before. He's playing back in the slot. He's catching everything. He's getting separation. All those things that you used to see from Chris Godwin, you're seeing now. And in a game where clearly the Lions did not want Mike Evans to beat them, Dan Campbell has a ton of respect for Mike Evans. I saw some of his stuff during the week, and he was talking a lot about how are we going to stop Mike Evans? How are we going to stop Mike Evans? You stopped him. But that's the beauty of having Chris Godwin on your football team.
Yeah.
Is you always have somebody else to go back to. And Baker obviously made some great plays, having to scramble out of the pocket because the elephant in the room was Aiden Hutchinson had 5 sacks in this football game. And I said that going into the week when we found out that Luke Gedeke was on concussion protocol, like I wasn't trying to be negative, but I was like, that's the reason why the Bucs are not going to win this football game.
Right. No,
because that dude's going to take over he's going to take over that game because Justin School is going to have no shot. And I don't think the Bucs have a capable enough blocker at tight end to be able to truly help him on that side. And I think you saw that show up in this game. And
Absolutely.
3 sacks in the
Big
first
time.
10 minutes when School was sort of playing one-on-one with him. And it wasn't just School. They went on the inside. He got his first sack was on a stunt, and he schooled Cody Mauch. Grant Barton had some plays where he got schooled as well. So it wasn't all on Justin School in that game. I do want to point that out. But clearly,
I think it's on the coaching staff.
I think it's on the coaching staff for sure.
I think you pronounce it Schooley. If you want to leave Schooley out there one-on-one with Aiden Hutchinson, that's just a bad idea. That's a horrible idea.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it's exemplary to say, oh, next man up. Yeah, we expect you to play like the starter, blah, blah, blah. That's dumb. That's ego. Don't do that. No, we're not with Aiden Hutchinson. Even with Gedeke, it might have been a really good idea to get some chips and some help in the game plan right away. Just acknowledge that he's going to be a factor, and you got to neutralize him as much as possible where you have no offense. And frankly, the Bucs had very little offense yesterday. 216 yards ain't gonna get it done most days.
And
so
beyond that,
he wrecked the offense. And we got to be better there.
Beyond that, we have to acknowledge that the Buccaneers still are very challenged at running the football. They just are. Like, there were times in that game, especially those last two offensive possessions that they had, where you had the lead and it's like, okay, let's try to run the football here and let's try to chew clock and keep the chains moving and try not to put our defense in a situation where they have to continue to making stops, because they were standing on their head.
Thing is, Nick, though, you got to understand, they knew that the drop back passing game was neutralized. So now you can put 8 guys in the box, and I don't care who you are in the NFL. You're not running in the NFL with 7, 8 guys in the box.
Okay, but here's the
thing.
They're
too athletic. They're too big. It's almost impossible to do.
But here's the thing, JP. If I had evidence that the Bucs could run the football going into this game, I might be able to get on board with you. A little bit last week. A little bit, but it wasn't like they're running crazy or anything like that. They still have to figure out how they can run the football because I mean, even when they got the ball back there after they made the defensive stand and they have like a minute there, the Lions had all their timeouts. Like, even on third down, like, they're still trying to throw it, and that was a very dangerous play call. I'm not sure why, throwing a slant to Mike in that situation
let me say this. Let me say this about that call, okay? It's fourth down or third down. If you think they're going to run the football, you're pretty sure they're going to run the football. So Liam Cohen calls a, full sweep to the left. Everybody's run action to the left. Like, everybody's going to the left. And that defensive end or outside linebacker, I don't know who it was, he doesn't take the bait. And he stays home on the bootleg like he's supposed to do.
Right.
And that's a great play. 99.9% of the time, that defensive end or linebacker outside contained guy is taking 3 steps down at least, just going with the run package. It's a and then you got Mike one-on-one on the backside on a slant. It should be a pretty easy pitch and catch. If you make the first down there, the game's over. So they're going for the first down. The guy makes an unbelievable play, stays in the gap, knocks the ball down. I'm going to tip my cap to the defense on a very disciplined, big-time play. And because I think Mike probably catches the slant, and I know he was well covered, but I think he probably catches it, falls forward for the first down. You win the game. You're trying to win the game there in a hostile environment where your defense is just gassed. I like the call. It's a safe call because you got Mayfield out in space for the most part, and he's going to be able to make a play one way or another. That guy just made a great play. He made a great play.
Okay, well, what's unforgivable?
It's 3rd and 6. I don't think you're going to be able to run for it, to your point.
Well, no, it was more about getting them to use the other timeout.
Yeah, and I get that.
And be able to bleed more clock.
I get that. But I'm going to take the chance. But if you do that, you're not getting the first down. So you're just giving it up. That you're giving up the ball. So I like the idea that you can end the game with one quick, and you like the play. Listen, you've run the play a lot in practice. You love the play. You love it. And if you have that play on your play sheet, I say go for it. Now, it ain't going to work all the time. These are NFL football players, and they're really good.
Yeah,
they made a play.
Plays.
I'm not going to bitch about that because you make the play, you win the game. So
okay, I see it. I can see that perspective. What I will counteract that with is, okay, that happens. Well, now you're punting from your end zone, and that part of the game right there, we could have been having a completely different discussion if the Bucs don't make a stop at the end of that game.
Yep,
because
I get it.
Jake Camarda, I don't know if he's got some sort of lower body injury or something, or he just straight up has the yips in year 3. But
I don't know.
The boot that we saw on Jake Camarda for the first 2 years, where he was to the point where he was out punting his coverage, forget that. He's not getting it down the field, and that punt was horrible. Yeah. That punt was horrible. It was on a line. It didn't go far. It gave the Lions great field position with a timeout in their pocket. And I was getting really, really nervous. I'm sure all Bucs fans were like, oh, gosh, we've seen how this story ends now. Punter's going to cost us this one. But
I will say this, too. The Lions are not the smartest team in football. they've screwed up the kneel down at the end of the playoff.
Dan Campbell could be aggressive.
Bucks should have had another possession. We're not going to go through that again, but they really screwed that up last year at the end of the game. They had chances to get out of bounds on the final couple drives where they didn't. They ran back into the middle of the field and cost them time and timeouts. And I was like, wow, that's really dumb. They do some dumb things at the end of the half. That was as mismanaged as it gets. And Dan Campbell,
that was a break that the Bucks got.
Yeah, and Dan Campbell took the heat for it. I guess he tried to send the field goal team on, and they had no chance of doing it. Not with I think it was like 9 seconds left. I don't know why he would even think they could possibly do that. So they made some mistakes from a mental standpoint that you just can't make. But they kind of evened out over the entire game, and the Bucks get the W. So whatever. And look at the NFL yesterday. Holy crap! Did Vegas make a killing yesterday? Oh my God! If you won bets yesterday, good on you. Because those were some crazy scores. But that's the NFL. That underscores even more importantly why the Bucks at 2-0. I mean, and they got a lot of injuries. You got the Broncos coming in. You might be able to beat the Broncos with half your team down, which apparently it's going to be, and get to 3-0, and then the gauntlet starts. I don't think, Vita Vea I think it's going to be at least 4 to 6 weeks on him. You got to get Cansey back. I don't know how severe his calf injury, but clearly it's severe if he's missed 2 games.
And it's going to take him time to get going too once he comes back.
Exactly. So listen, as euphoric as we are right now and should be after this win, and you celebrate this win, there may be some tough times coming down the pike because
maybe, but we got to enjoy it. And what I will say, 2 games in, I've seen the Bucks win 2 completely different ways. Offensive onslaught and execution in the first game, and then the second game, tough, gritty defense stole the show. Like, I like that the Bucks are not beholden to having to play one way, at least through 2 games, to win a football game, because I think as this schedule continues to get harder with the Eagles in the coming in soon, the Saints is always a tough matchup. And by the way, we saw the Saints all of a sudden can play offense
talking about them here in a little bit. Yeah,
exactly. And then, the Chiefs and the Ravens and all these great teams are going to come in. Like, you're going to be challenged to have to win football games, I think, a plethora of different ways. And I think the Bucks have shown you through 2 games that they can do that.
All right, we're going to take our first break and get to the comments. We got tons of comments coming in. I want to hit them all. You guys have got some great stuff on the board here. So if you want to jump in the break, we'll try to read each and every one of them. We thank you guys for jumping in. As always, it's a Bucks overreaction celebration Monday. Let's enjoy this one. It was a fun win at Detroit. We got so much to get to with the Seminoles. What's going on there? I can tell you in about 5 or 6 quick points exactly what's happening there. The Gators, what an absolute disaster. USF is on the rise. So much college football to get to. Stay with us. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Report, Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. They sponsor the Gator Report, as maybe they don't want to sponsor that anymore. But go to the JeevesLawGroup.com website, get your free case evaluation, whatever your legal questions, they will answer it for free. Let you know if you have a case. Just go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Tell them you heard it on the JP Peterson Show. Back in 3. Stay with us. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just
get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on TrueBody and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best of the business. Golfers, listen up. The hottest new driving range craze has come to Rogers Park in Tampa. The Top Tracer range is now open 10 to 9 p.m. And just like you see on TV, every shot is tracked for yardage and accuracy, giving you immediate feedback. And best of all, you can virtually play the top courses like Pebble Beach or St. Andrews with your buddies. Plus, great food and drink options available in the well-appointed hitting bays. Very comfortable out there. Reservations highly recommended, starting at $25 per hour, including balls. Reserve at RogersParkGolf.net. That's RogersParkGolf.net. See you there.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. If you haven't checked your testosterone, get your testosterone levels checked. And if they're low, go to Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Just call Chris Lugo at BAMMC.com. Let him get you on your program Back to Health. Okay, it's concierge medicine, and he can help you direct your insurance to cover all the basic tests and everything else, but get someone to tell you what's wrong and to go over your blood work for an hour plus. That's what they do at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, and really dig into what your issues are and solve them, and not through writing a prescription all the time, but lifestyle changes, get you to sleep better, get you to work out better, get you to eat better, get your testosterone right if you need it, give you some other additives if you need it in terms of supplements. And if you need a prescription, certainly, that'll work for you. Absolutely. But they do it with keeping you healthy in mind. So go to Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com, and schedule an appointment now for your health. All right, you want to get to these comments, my friend?
Yeah, we got a lot to pick through here today.
Yes, we do. Some good stuff here. Let's start with I'll just go to the new names. I have not seen Timothy Fitzgerald in here. Hello, Timothy Fitzgerald. Good to have you in, fella. It says Baker's sitting that linebacker down was so damn good. I love it. Absolutely love that. And Baker after the game saying, somebody said that was the longest touchdown run of your career. And he's like, that's so sad. That's so sad. I love the humility. So good. JP is also wearing his Rays underwear. No, I don't wear underwear most days. Not that you need to know that. I just don't see what we're going to get a win at all this year. Maybe it's just a negative side of me talking, but I feel it's reality. Kenneth, I'm sure you're talking about FSU. Hard to see where they come from right now. Hard to see where they come from right now. I have a whole separate monologue that I put up on Facebook and Twitter yesterday for all of the issues. And we're going to get into it with Pat Burnham here at the top at 11 o'clock. But I'll say this. I don't think Mike Norvell has lost the team yet. I think it's close. But I think the issues on this team are football-centric issues. I don't think, he's lost the team. There's a revolt going on, or that's, the culture is suddenly horrible. I don't think it's that yet. I think it can get there, but I don't think it's that yet. I think so much of this has to do with just really bad decisions by the head coach. Coaches make good ones. They make bad ones. They make good talent evaluations in the portal like he did the first 2 years, and then other years not so good. They had some changes in their NIL. Brought in the guy from Oregon State. I know there's some stuff going around that he brokered this DJU deal to get a kickback himself. I don't know if that's true. I doubt that it's true, but it's out there. I don't understand why Brock Glenn gets no snaps in this game. That is absolutely mind-boggling to me, given what the offense looked like and how bad DJU was. There's just no rhyme or reason for keeping him in there. And if Mike does stay with DJU next week, I think he's going to lose the fan base. That's for sure.
He's already lost it.
Yeah, which is sad. The dude went 13-0 last year. I mean, come on. For those people saying to fire Mike Norvell, you are absolute idiots. You're idiots. I don't mean to be mean, but you're just
he should not to fire, and there's no way. He's got like a $60-something million buyout, so he's not getting fired.
But to even call for it as a fan base, you just sound dumb.
No, there's just honest conversations that need to be had, and
changes need to be made on the staff, most assuredly. And he needs to make changes in personnel, and he needs to move forward with this season as if getting ready for the next, not trying to salvage this season. Mike, you're not getting fired. It's not like you're Billy Napier and you have to win every game. It may be, a death sentence waiting to happen. You got some leash here, bro. So don't be timid in your decision making. You got to go to the next guy. DJU is not it. I mean, and it's clear as day. And you can sit there and make excuses for him and drop passes and blocking and all this other stuff. So much of that can be alleviated by putting a different quarterback in there. He's just not good. He's awful. He's not average. He's not below average. He's awful, and he's killing you. You can't run the football because he's no threat of running. And you're running an offense that's designed for the quarterback to have a threat of the run by pulling it on the RPO and moving around the outside. The defensive ends are crashing down. They're not even respecting the quarterback run at all. So you're handicapping yourself by and at least one extra person, probably two, because they're so committed to wherever the ball is going on the run. I mean, it's just, and he's inaccurate. He can't move. He walks into sacks. He walked into sacks. He's getting good protection, and he just runs up into the pile. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And he holds the ball so freaking long. And then we're running bubble screens where the ball's got to be caught and thrown. He's like, you can hear that, like the Chariots of Fire music in the background. Dun, 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 dun. He's throwing the ball to the wide receiver on a bubble screen.
And the running back is
and it's like, and the defense is in fast motion. It's like, and I'm it's like a joke. I mean, I'm sitting there watching the game, and Ashley's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, I'm screaming, and I don't get this emotionally involved anymore. I never do. I mean, I've grown up past that, I thought, and I'm just screaming at the
you never grow up.
Throw the ball.
You never grow up.
Throw the fucking ball. My God, son. I don't care if you throw it out of bounds. Just don't hold it for 10 seconds. Jesus. Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. But I have a whole list of things I got to get to. But
I know.
Thank you for getting me off track there. Yeezy says Todd B needs a game ball. Absolutely, bro. I mean, the way they play for him is
what a glow up. What a glow up from the second half of last season to now. What a glow up.
Yeah. Kenneth McCleary also has, it's nice to be right about the Buccaneers winning. Definitely a signature win. And as far as the Seminoles are concerned, just when I thought I could trust Norvell, I'm back leaning to fire him. We're not firing the coach, bro. We're not firing the coach. James, good morning to you. Said Rex Ryan on Get Up said Lions outplayed Bucs with 450 yards. Do any of these so-called experts do any research? They didn't mention the Bucs out with both defensive tackles, best safety in the NFL and right tackle. It's not about yards. That's right. When you can coach around injuries like this and win a ball game, that is, I think, the toughest test of a coach.
And let me throw this stat out here too, because Josh Capo actually just put this out and I wanted to say it. the next gen stats, because everybody was talking, and me too included. You watch the game, everybody's like pulling their hair out about Justin Schooley. What if I told you that Baker Mayfield dropped back 29 times? Aiden Hutchinson had 5 sacks, but what if I told you those were the only 5 pressures that he was credited in that game? So he had 100% hit rate on all of his pressures, which is crazy. But outside of that, and I understand 5 sacks is still 5 sacks, but outside of that, he didn't get credited with any other pressures. So maybe, and I'm anxious to get in, and you'll watch it too, the all-22 on this offensive line, but maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought in real time.
No, it was bad.
Okay.
I trust Josh Capo with my X's and O's life.
Well, this was from the next gen stats, what they picked up in this game. So,
yeah, well, I mean, so the point is Schooley didn't do a horrible job.
The point is that yes, Aiden Hutchinson feasted in that game.
Yes.
But he had a 100% hit rate on his 5 pressures in that football game. And like I said, Yaya Diaby was credited with 6 pressures in that football game.
Yeah.
The difference was Aiden Hutchinson got home on all of his, and that usually is an anomaly for that to happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
And nobody else on that Lions defensive front really impacted the game in that standpoint.
Yeah. Davenport being out probably helped as well.
Right.
So to be fair. James says on Miami football, JP Cristobal has done a better job recruiting, maybe not best head coach, but now he has a QB. Norvell seems to be lost. What the F is going on? Well, I'll give you my thoughts here in just a little bit. Bucks Rays Bolt says Zion's better than Carlton already at the cornerback. Yes, he is. That's why they traded him. You know that Jason Light kind of knows what he's doing.
Big risk to put all your eggs in the Zion McCollum basket, but the development is there.
Yep, no question. Let's see who else is in here. Nathan Elliott, good morning to you. What else we got? James adds Todd Bowles coached his ass off, guys. The only negative to me was Baker not running with 53 seconds left, but D was not going to lose this. Jason keeps making the right moves with trade of Carlton Davis. Zion played great. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rick says Todd Bowles a better coach when he can trust his OC. JTS is still terrible, runs away from contact.
I saw JTS played okay.
I saw him actually make a couple plays.
Yeah, he had a tackle for loss in this game.
Yeah. I'm talking about guys running away from contact. Turn on that FSU tape. Oh, boy. Just absolutely makes my stomach turn. I said, if Mickey Andrews, I put that on text on Twitter too. I said, Mickey Andrews, old DC, would have benched every one of those defensive backs. Everyone. I saw Hussey, number 14. The linebacker, I think Lundy was taking the running back down. He made his initial hit or grab of the running back who was still up, and Hussey's running right at the play. And instead of sticking your head, your helmet on the ball, and sandwiching the player, he jumps over the tackle. He jumps over the tackle instead of it's a free shot, bro. He's already being tackled. This is a defensive back's dream. Go for the ball and knock it out. I mean, knock the guy backwards instead of falling forwards. He literally jumps over the tackle, the contact.
Right. Let's also acknowledge that Marvin Jones Jr. is no Marvin Jones Sr. It ain't even close. Talk about guys running away from contact. Meets McGee, back to the Bucks. He said the interception by Baker, the commentator mentioned that one of the receivers ran the wrong route, but I noticed the first catch from Godwin was the same exact play. Are the receivers not spacing? I'd have to get a better look at that on the all-22 to see what they were running, but it was a little odd in that picture. You had Mike and Chris literally standing or running 2 yards with around one another. And obviously Baker shouldn't throw that football, obviously. But outside of that, I don't think he really made it to that play.
Sometimes when you're reading the coverage, you're reading where the defensive back is. So your read is that Mike is got 3 yards on the defensive back that's trailing him, right? That's your read on that particular place because there's not supposed to be anybody else in that area. Because when you're looking downfield as a quarterback, you just see a gaggle of people, It's
right.
And you got to focus in on what you're looking for. And in that particular play, I'm guessing Godwin's supposed to clear the area out, and maybe he got delayed in his route. So he clears through. Mike comes behind him. It's a nice route combination, but he should be ideally trailing him 4 to 5 yards behind him, not even. So as they're coming out, like this on kind of a double, and they're going at different levels, right? Mm-hmm. So Chris is coming underneath. He should be out in front of him, clearing out with Mike trailing behind. So if you're reading the coverage, you say, okay, it's man, and Mike's got his guy beat by 3 yards. I just lead him, throw him a little bit high over the linebackers. That should be a completion, except if, safety's dropped down and he's covering, he's come to cover in on somebody else and he mucks it up. And I think that's what happened on FR. You could see Baker like wondering, like, where the hell did that guy come from? Like, he shouldn't have been there. Like, that wasn't the coverage that we read. And so he went back and looked and he said, so that shit's going to happen. That's football. It's a good
Lonnie Wilkins said, happy Victory Monday, boys. Rocking my Bucks gear at work here in Chicago. Nice. I thought we were going to witness a Caleb Williams murder yesterday on the field. That Bear O-line. The Bears still can't block anybody. And Caleb Williams, everybody said he was the perfect prospect, right? Is what I heard. And what did I see yesterday? Him trying to do the same things he did in the Pac-12 and trying to do things that he did against Arizona State, and he ends up throwing into triple coverage. And guess what? That ball gets picked off in the NFL. Yeah. So
he was running for his life, but I'm also, one of the reasons he's running for his life is because he's not making the pre-snap reads to get the ball out quick enough. He's still confused by the coverages. And, that's something that you got to have in the NFL. You've got to be able, this is why Brady was so good. He knew where he was going with the ball before the ball was even
that's probably my big reason.
95% of the time.
That's probably my big thing. Everybody's talking about, the quarterbacks the first 2 weeks are not playing well and what's going on? What's the reason for the drop in scoring? And it's like, part of it is like, this is the cycle of the NFL. The defenses are starting to fight back. And I saw a stat from week 1. Defenses played too high 60% of the time. So they're obviously doing whatever they can to counteract the quarterback play. And we might have a generation of quarterbacks right now that can throw it better than any generation before them, maybe, but where they're not more advanced than the quarterbacks before them or what they do pre-snap. And if you watch yesterday, the Jet game, for example, Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old and has seen everything. And I'm watching him call his own plays at the line of scrimmage and tear everything up based on coverage. And there's like a great breakdown of the touchdown he threw to Breece Hall. It's stuff that you don't see the quarterbacks nowadays make. Matthew Stafford is another one. Like, these guys are relics, but I love watching them play because of what they do at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Brady caught some shit for this last week when he said, they've dumbed down this for the quarterbacks, and that's accurate. That is accurate. These college type RPOs are, quote, dumbed down systems because they're very elemental reads, but they rely on the athleticism of the quarterback to make them all work. And it works. It works in college. It works to some degree in the pros, but now, the pros are catching up with it a little bit. There's no question about it. Like, there are limited things you can do in the RPO game, and it does limit the size of the read in the field. You're pretty much like rollouts and stuff. You're kind of cutting down the field, but the trade-off is the athleticism of the quarterback can pull it and run it and make everything happen and make big explosive plays. And so that's still going to be part of it. But, if you have a quarterback that can make those reads, those pre-snap reads, and knows where to go with the ball, you can, but they're hard to find. And they're hard to train. They're not training them up in college anymore.
And for what it's worth about the quarterbacks, how about the number? I should have brought this one up too in the first block. The highest rated passer since week 14 of last year, including the playoffs, is none other than Baker Mayfield by a full 5 points, by the way. That's how good Baker Mayfield's been over the last, that dates back like 6 or 7 games probably.
Mm-hmm. How about that? That's impressive. But he's still a mediocre, arrogant quarterback to some. Crazy. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Pat Burnham's going to join us from the Osceola, the Rivals Network. His post-game Seminole Sideline show is blowing up. Ain't no doubt about that. Misery loves company. So we'll get into all the questions. Why is Florida State so bad? We got answers. You got questions, we got answers. And it's brought to you by Italiano Insurance, the FSU Report. Big FSU fans, the Italianos, no doubt. Nat played for the Noles way back when, and still a huge, huge fan. And we love their customer service. Great company, great family company. 813-877-7799. If you need a human being to answer the phone and actually talk to about insurance stuff, you can get that at Italiano. I know it's rare. Actual human beings answering the phone. And they know what they're talking about. That's even more rare. 813-877-7799. Back in 3. Celebrate August with the dazzling green hue of peridot, known for its vibrant and refreshing sparkle. Yes, that's the birthstone of August at the Gold and Diamond Source. Explore the Gold and Diamond Source's stunning collection of peridot jewelry, showcasing the gemstone's unique glow and versatility in rings, necklaces, and earrings. Peridot's distinctive color makes it a standout choice for any occasion, adding a touch of elegance and charm to your ensemble. Enjoy 15% off when you shop August Gems online only. Stop by the Golden Diamond Source to experience the allure of August Gem and let their expert staff help you find the perfect peridot piece. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmsted Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey, it's football season, so we welcome back the FSU Football Report every Monday and Friday on the J.P. Peterson Show, sponsored by those huge FSU fans at Italiano Insurance. They'll save you money as well. Just do a quick insurance checkup, 813-877-7799. They just saved me $500 on homeowners insurance. Who's doing that? Yeah, they just shopped it around, found a better, cheaper company, and we got a cheaper price. And business insurance. Make sure you're covered or you could lose your personal wealth. That's 813-877-7799. ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Noles.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right, that's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
JP here for Third Generation AC and Plumbing. And Third Generation really says it all, folks. The owner, my friend John Rodriguez, has been in the AC and plumbing business since 1995. They built their business on honest assessments and doing great work on time for a great price. Simple, right? Did you know many AC techs are incentivized on big commissions to sell new AC units, and you might just need a drain cleared? So if you want someone you can trust, that's John Rodriguez and Third Generation Services. Check out the 5-star Google reviews. If you have a plumbing or AC emergency, call 813-961-8024 and a human will answer the phone. That's 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Topper Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, well, welcome back to the J.P. Peterson Show on this Monday, brought to you by the G Law Group and Italiano Insurance, who brings us the FSU report, and the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source. All right, let's bring him in, the man, the myth, Pat Burnham, Mr. X's and O's, Mr. Recruiting, Mr. Everything for FSU. Yeah. What's up, Pat Burnham? How are you?
I mean, I'm doing well. You know, the sun rose on Sunday morning here in Tallahassee, and we're trying to start moving forward from what has been a depressing start to the 2024 season for Florida State.
Well, you know, some people have been asking me all week long, you know, all weekend long, what the hell's going on with FSU? And you and I think, have documented this. What concerns me most is, you know, there's so much FSU fans, oh, we got to fire Norvell. He's awful. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, come on. The dude went 13-0 last year, was way ahead of schedule, and I think that set the expectations through the roof. When it takes longer to actually turn around the Titanic that was headed in the wrong direction. Has he made some bad decisions? Absolutely. Some really, really bad decisions, starting with DJU. But it's a little bit more than that. And I think so much of this is all football related, Pat. I think, first and foremost, you lost 14 guys to the NFL. They were all playmakers. They probably accounted for 90% of your plays last year. Guys got to learn to step up and make plays. They've been watching for a long time. And those guys are good. Jordan Travis was an amazing, as you have said many times, he hit all the warts, and that's part of it. The whiffs in the portal, all the guys that they brought in, they whiffed on most of them, and they're terribly coached on defense. I've never seen tackling worse than this. As you have mentioned many times, they don't tackle in practice. And the lack of contact and shying away from contact is embarrassing. We'll talk about that. They haven't gotten any better discipline-wise on defense, making basic coaching errors time and time again for 3 straight games. That's alarming. And the coaching decisions during the game. In Georgia Tech, you could have had an extra possession. You waited to throw too long. And then against BC, the 4th down call was a game loser. You lost the game with that call. You can't do that as a coach. You can't kill your team like that. So I think it's all football-centric. And I think, and I don't think there's the culture has horribly gone wrong or the coach needs to be fired. What say you on we're doing the 50,000 foot thing first?
Well, the coach is not going to be fired because he just signed a contract where the payout would be either $65 or $75 million. Now, I'm not sure that was the right thing to do. I know everybody thinks that he was offered the Alabama job. I've got sources that say he was not. In the interview, yes, but I think Florida State got hoodwinked into a bad deal by Jimmy Sexton, but he does that to everybody. But anyway, long story short, you're coming off a 13-1 season. It was not a 13-0 season. It was a 13-1 season. You played 14 games. You could certainly sum it up by saying they did not replace the players they lost with the players that were equal to or better than what they had. And just wrap it at that. But the fall off, they've fallen off a cliff, particularly on offense, JP. And you can say it is all football related. I think you're right. Now I think you might have seen some cracks in the foundation of this program after what happened with so many kids bailing out on this team, which is a very unpopular opinion to you and most Florida State fans. Yes. But listen, you had a bunch of guys that should have played in that bowl game that chose not to, right? So maybe there were some cracks that we should have seen earlier. That's not popular with Florida State fans, but you had a bunch of guys that should have played in that game to enhance their draft stock. If you want to take Verse, Benson, and maybe Keon out of that game, everybody else should have played. Listen, you got a chance to play for a 14-0 season, regardless of whether you're not in the playoff or not. So maybe some of this is foundational. We'll see. I mean, but listen, you've fallen off a cliff on offense. Some of that is on Mike. It's not all on the players. Some of it's on evaluation. Some of it's on preparation. I mean, you've gotten plays where you got too many people on the field. You're in the 3rd game of the year. You're not sure what personnel groupings in. You've got plays where guards are running into each other, pulling the opposite ways. Then you've got a play on 3rd and 4 where you got your left tackle's pass blocking, and the other 4 guys are run blocking.
What the hell was that?
So it probably should have been a pass, but yeah. So I mean, they're 128th in total offense. JP, Mike Norvell and his staff are handsomely paid to scheme up what their players can do, and this offense is regressing week by week by week. And listen, you can say Jeremiah Byers is out, but before Jeremiah Byers went out with an injury, he's missed the last 2 games. People kept on talking about, well, Jeremiah Byers isn't playing too well. Well, now it's an excuse. We heard Mike mention injuries in his post-game press conference before the fire alarm went off, and which was the most ironic. I mean, talk about hold your beer a moment. Everybody's making fun of Billy Napier not being able to get a water bottle over. Florida State goes 0-3, and before Mike can get out of the room.
Who pulled the fire alarm? That's what I want to know. Who pulled the fire alarm? Was it the PR guy? Who was it? Who was it? I want to know. I want evidence. Somebody pulled the fire alarm.
I'm sure somebody in that building is taking a look at the closed circuit television tape. I guarantee you they're looking at security tapes. But listen, despite all that, the fall, you can't. you just can't write this off as, well, they built this too fast. I mean, they were in the fifth year of a team in Florida, you should be the foundation should be set. I mean,
that's true.
I mean, he's had time.
You shouldn't be going 0-3.
I mean, and maybe you don't go 13-1 this year, but you certainly shouldn't be looking like you're a 4-8 team in Mike Norvell's fifth year. So there's certainly blame to go around. It's not all on the players. There's some baffling decisions. Go back to that third and fourth call where you've got 9 guys in the box. I don't coach football. And it's been a long time since I have, but I know that you check to a pass there, or he checked out of a pass into a run based off the left tackle's pass set and everybody else pass blocking. It looks like there's confusion. But listen, they look disjointed as a football team. They don't look like they play together. They look disinterested at times, and they're getting beat by people that they are physically better than. Now, you can build off some things out of this game. There's certainly no doubt about that. You finally played well against the run on defense.
I thought the defense played well.
If you're an optimist, that's something you can build off of. If you're a pessimist, you did it against one of the least experienced offensive lines in all of college football, and there's no bigger discrepancy between a power 4 team and a group of 5 team than at the line of scrimmage. So it depends on how you want to look at it. Now, if you're Adam Fuller or Mike Norvell, that's a building block for next week. And the weeks after that, you're better against the run. You saw Josh Farmer and Darrell Jackson show up. You saw Justin Cryer show some natural ability at linebacker. You saw Blake Nicholson getting a little bit more comfortable versus the run, even though he's a little light in the pants. And you saw him, take that blow on 3rd and 1. But he's got to get bigger. He's got to get stronger. So there are some things you can build off of. You got one of the best kicking games in the country outside of a fumbled punt, which, by the way, was legal. That is taught. If you're engaged in a block, it doesn't matter, and you can say he was pushed into the receiver, but he is still being blocked. You
don't get pushed into the receiver.
You pass block backwards. So just because you're going backwards does not mean you're not a blocker. Right. So that was a legal thing. But other than that, the special listen, Fitzgerald's been fantastic. Mascherano is unbelievable. You've got a defense that looks like it's getting better against the run, and Memphis and Cal are probably somewhat similar as far as personnel on offense, those kind of things. The problem is, JP, I don't see how you get better offensively. And listen, we've talked about putting Brock Glenn at quarterback.
Come on.
You tell me what you're going to build off of from Saturday.
Well, DJU is hampering the offense so much because he can't run. He can't run, and he runs into sacks. He's horribly inaccurate. They're calling bubble screens, and it takes him 45 minutes to get the ball to the outside. He's taking the one bubble screen. He took 3 steps.
Well,
what are you doing? Like catch the ball quickly, throw it to the outside as fast as possible. Even if you don't have the laces, you should be able to get the ball there quickly. This dude's taking 3 steps and throwing it to the outside. He takes the ball, even on the RPOs, you could see the ends crashing. They don't honor the football. No. If you don't have to honor the run, the RPO is ridiculous. Why call the play? It's ridiculous.
But here's the thing, JP, and you're making a very valid point. But that's who they brought in. And outside of Jordan Travis, most of the quarterbacks Mike's had have been pure drop back passers since he's been a head coach, and he's been able to have some of the best offenses in the nation. So this is not just a DJU thing. Is he the solution? No. Is he the entire problem? No. Does he have his responsibility in what's going on? Yes. Listen, he does hold on to the ball. That last series where it was a wing and a prayer to win the game anyway, but you take 2 sacks. You're taking sacks and he took a sack in a goal line situation when they had first and goal at the 2, ends up being 3rd and 4, and he takes a sack to the 7, and Mike decides not to go for it for whatever reason at that point in the game.
No, right.
But so anyway, and then there's a pass where he is being rushed. He's got to get rid of the ball. There's not anybody really open, but Brian Courtney's running the back of the end zone. He throws the ball over the goalpost. His aiming point should be at the top of the goalpost to give Courtney a chance to crossbar, not the goalpost, the crossbar. Yeah. He should try to hit the crossbar and allow that kid to go up and make a play. So is he the answer? No. Is he the total problem? No, I mean, listen.
No, he's not the total problem.
You ran for 24. They ran for 24 yards or 37 yards on 24 carries
against Memphis.
Good football teams can run the ball even when people know you're going to run the ball. Boston College.
Hey, Georgia Tech. All right, so let's look at the offensive line, which is supposed to be so experienced. And the reason they're experienced and they have a lot of starts is because they're not good enough to play in the NFL and go out early. How do you not make wholesale changes across the front line?
Well, I think that you've got to start doing something. I mean, we did say Jalen early play. Listen, you're going to go through some growing pains with him. He's a redshirt freshman or redshirt sophomore. I think he started the Georgia game, but he's not started one since where he played in the Georgia game. I think you got to start looking at a guy like Chris Otto. I mean, your guards are not playing well. They're not. I mean, there's no way around that.
They're terrible. They're running into each other. Listen, they're not smart.
My evaluation doesn't count, but I spend a lot of time around the offensive line when I'm at practice, particularly in camp. I was there every day during camp, except for the Jacksonville practices. I went through the first week of the season to watch them get ready for Georgia Tech. And Andre Otto, is a guy, in my opinion, that should be playing, but I think he's got a couple reps against Boston College, but I believe that's it. But yeah, I think, and Mike said everything's being reevaluated. What that means, I think Mike needs to be more specific today and what he's talking about. I think he wants to carry the company line. He doesn't really want to talk about specific players, but I think he needs to address some of the elephants in the room and what are the problems and how does he plan to address them? What does he said after the Boston College game, they still believes in what this team can do. Well, what can this team do, and what can this team not do, and how are you moving forward? I mean, there needs to be more accountability on what's going on. We get some vague answers, listen, I think those problems are bigger than any one person. I got asked the other day, what if Alex Atkins comes back and the offensive line room takes off and the tight end room takes off and the wide receivers take off? Well, certainly getting Alex back is going to help. Having your full allotment of assistant coaches is going to help. Would it have stymied the 0-3 start? I don't think so. It certainly couldn't have hurt your chances.
Well, there's no leadership on that side. So having a coach
the issues are bigger than any one player, any one coach. You see it on film. It's a bad football team, and they're going to play a team that's very similar to Cal. I mean, Memphis coming in here, they really good on defense. Got one of the best linebackers in America in Teddy Buchanan. He's a transfer from Cal Davis, transferred up and has been unbelievable. Top 20 in tackles, top 30 in tackles for loss. Just unbelievable player. But JP, I mean, listen, I guess you can make at 128th, the argument could be, if you're an optimist, is you can't go anywhere but up. So maybe you're right. Maybe you can find some improvement. Listen, I can't imagine that we keep on saying every week that we can't imagine they can play any worse. And on offense, it has gone south all three games. So, I mean, you're a former quarterback. You tell me what you're building off of.
Yeah.
Not a damn thing. What I can't get past, Pat, is even going back, forget the first three games, extended out to last year, the last 3 games without Jordan Travis in there. They've scored 7 touchdowns, I believe, offensively. 7.
Yep.
And you can't get around the fact that without Jordan Travis at Florida State, and this is now year 5, he's 2-11. There's only 6 teams that have moved the ball better than Florida State, or worse than Florida State, rather. Yes. Definitely worse than Florida State. There's only one team, Miami of Ohio, who's ran the ball worse than Florida State. And I think there's only 5 teams that have scored worse than Florida State. Like, I understand the personnel is what it is. It's not great, but how it can't possibly be this bad. And like, I have to start like looking at it now. Like, is it fair to question Mike's like Like everybody says, offensive guru. And like you said, he's getting paid a lot of money to figure this out and at least scheme something open. I'm watching Memphis guys run wide open in these football games at times. Like, I don't see that happening for Florida State at all.
Well, let's just play the what if. And I know there's a lot of other things, but let's play the what if. What if every single play DJ's making the wrong read? Okay. What if almost every single pass that he throws is terrible? Okay. What if he's showing absolutely no leadership? What if the ball should have get out in 2.5 seconds and he's holding it and they're turning into sacks? He has the ball every single play and he fucking sucks. He's awful. He's terrible. He's slow. Everything he does is bad. It's going to drag your offense down. It's going to drag everybody down. If you're blocking, you don't want to block anymore because the guy's a knucklehead. And I don't want to get personal. I guess I just did. He's terrible. And yes, the coaches are culpable as well. How can you look at this for 3 freaking games and not go to a backup quarterback? For God's sakes, the whole freaking stadium is telling you to. Everybody can see it but the head coach. What the F is going on? He's a 4-star recruit. He's played in big games. You got a 5-star behind him, and you let this guy take snap after snap after snap. He's effing awful. End of story. He's the quarterback. He touches it every play. Why are all these numbers so bad? Because he's terrible. That's why. End of story. And if you can't see that as a head coach or in that 75th row, if we still had one on the alumni side, then you're effing blind. Well, it's the quarterback. And it's nothing. This is no secret. You can't be this bad unless you got a guy who's taking a snap, who has no effing idea what he's doing, has no confidence, and no one has confidence in him. That's how it gets this bad. Well, end of story. Make a change.
I went back and watched this film from Clemson last night.
Sorry.
You're good. You had a conversation with the guy that we were talking about, but if you look at him, he's not the same player. Physically, he's not the same player. He doesn't move as well. He doesn't throw the ball as well. Listen, I think that Mike is like a lot of head coach. Listen, most every coach, we talked about this in the post-game show. Every coach thinks that whatever deficiency a player has, they're the guy to fix it, right? Yes. And I'm sure that when they brought him in there, listen, with our offense, with my play calling, with our guys that we're going to have surround him with, we're going to be able to make him the best version of himself he's ever been, and that hasn't happened. And listen, you don't have, and you're right. Listen, I think the Florida State goal this season was to get to the playoffs, right? That's not going to happen. So you have got to start looking at long term. You want to look at the 50,000 high view? Yeah, long term. Listen, I've written about it. We've talked about it. I was not a fan. This team was never going to be as good as last year's. This team, in my opinion, and I've written about it, I thought they were a 9-3 team with some gray area on both sides. Now, I thought the floor was 7-5 for this team. 7-5 right now.
It's a dream.
Yeah, so listen, I think, and Bob wrote about it, I think you got to start working these young guys in, including Brock Glenn. And you can't worry about whether, can his confidence be any more shattered than it already is by what's going on the field?
Who, Brock or DJU?
DJU. So why do you have and listen, so what? It's a tough decision. It's a hard decision.
It's not a tough decision.
No, but I'm just saying you're paid to make them. You got to make it.
Right.
So listen, I agree with you. I didn't like the bridge thing. I thought if you had brought in a bridge quarterback for 1 year, I think you were always building for next year, right? Yeah. And I've always said, even if you bring him in, the only way Brock's going to get better is to get game reps, because practice reps are not anywhere close to game reps. And you're not going to throw Brock Glenn out there against whoever they open up with next year and him be ready to go if he doesn't play in games. And let's be honest, outside of Charleston Southern, it does not look like there's going to be any garbage time for anybody on this team.
Oh, no.
So
they dogfight every game.
Put them in when it matters. Let him go out there. And I don't care if you go into – I don't care how they –
Pat, you're saying put him in. Okay. Putting him in means DJU is getting reps during the week, which is not going to that's not helping Brock. It's not helping him. Well, if you want him to succeed, which should be the goal, then he's got to get every first team rep in practice. Why are we, I can't get any worse. It can't. It simply cannot get any worse.
No, they are at rock bottom.
Yeah, if you watch football every week, what do you see quarterbacks doing? Eluding the rush, running the football. BJU, he's not capable of any of it. Well, he's not even capable of it. I mean, it's like when he runs, it's like, oh my God, is he having a seizure? Like, what is that? Like, I don't even know what that is.
Well, listen, it was clear that Mike was not going to start Brock last week. All right. I mean,
why?
I don't know. Listen, you got to ask him that question.
Why is nobody? Because somebody ask him a direct question.
He talked about
not playing Brock. I mean,
he still believes that DJ whatever. And he said it's not all. I mean, he's right about that. But yes, I think this offense has to see if Brock Glenn can spark it. We've talked about it since week 2. After week 2, we've talked about this for 2 weeks. He plays with enthusiasm and energy. He plays with some kind of reckless abandonment.
Yes.
We talked about this already too. You go back to that Florida game and where he calls his own number, checks out of it, and runs for a first down.
Yes.
The guy's got a little something about him. And right now, this offense needs it. And to be honest with you, after what you put him through, the situation you put him through in the Georgia game, where you made him play with one hand tied behind his back, I think he's got a little credibility in that locker room because there were a lot of those guys that got fed to the wolves that day that weren't ready to play.
And he took it.
And he took it. So I think he's got some credibility in that locker room. Again, I've told Fish this, and I know we wrote about what eye-popping throws DJU was making before the season started in our last article on DJU before the season. I didn't see that. That was not written by me. I said all along that I did not see the separation that everybody else sees. And I took my evaluation of quarterbacks for this team in camp strictly from 11 on 11. I did not watch one-on-ones very often. I would watch some scale, but they were still about even in the scale periods I watched. But listen, I don't know how much you can take. I mean, one-on-one's an offensive drill. If you're not lighting it up as a quarterback and receivers,
you have no fear of the rush.
Yeah,
I mean you're not reading any rush at all. It's not even football.
But listen, I'm with you. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying.
I know you're not. I'm not yelling at you.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that I don't listen. He seems to be reluctant to make the change.
I know
for whatever reason.
I'm not mad at you. And I know you were on it before anybody. Like, what are we going to DJU for? Like, what
not going to pull him as the starter. He's got to be willing to put Brock in the game at some point. Now, I'm fine at this point. I'm more than fine with him going to Brock. I mean, you got to listen. This offense is pathetic. I mean, the numbers.
It literally can't get worse. When you're at 128, you can't. It can't get worse. It literally can't. And I think there's every other quarterback on that roster has to be looked at. I mean, and maybe it's Luke. Luke's a 5-star guy. I know he's a true freshman. He's not ready, but at some point, I'm giving Brock all the ones, and I'm giving Luke what's left over.
Yeah,
listen, DJ, I'm sorry. If you want to jump into the portal right now, go ahead. Savannah State is waiting. But it's just, I literally can't even think of any football reason that you would put him back under center in practice.
Yeah, and then you got some issues on defense defending the pass. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
How can and I know we've talked about the quarterback. How can you on game 3, quarter 4, whatever it is, with the game on the line, make the same effing tight end running back mistake that your outside receiver? I mean, the same effing mistake you've made every effing Pat. I mean, you can't, if you're not correcting this by the 4th quarter of game 1. That's a huge coaching error. If you're allowing it to happen at the end of game 3 at the most important time, at that point, I'm like, do you even practice? Do you even talk to your players? Have they ever been coached at any level? I mean, listen, if you're having hard time defending the flat, why wouldn't you just come out in some kind of cover 2 concept? Thank you.
And make sure that the corner,
make sure that somebody's there.
Somebody's there instead of this match zone, whatever they're playing. It's either straight man or it's match zone, which Matt zone's got man. It's got man and zone concepts in it. You still got to switch, be willing to switch people off. And if you go back to they ran the same play. 2 scoring plays were identical. It was just different on where it was coming across the formation post snap, the tight end, where the linebacker doesn't pick him up, run with him. Then you got the one to the running back where he comes out into the flat, and the safety and linebackers miscommunicate. It should have been the safety on that play. Get rid of that. And then everybody says Adam doesn't teach zone coverage. He's not going to play it. Well, listen, sometimes you got to get away from what you like to do what your kids do well. And teaching cover 2 is a pretty simple thing.
It's the easiest thing in the world.
Basic coverage.
Every flag football team in America plays cover 2. It's the easiest thing in the world to play.
Why aren't you? I mean, and listen, I don't get it. This is 3 games in a row. Yeah. Any kind of cross action totally screws up the coverage underneath.
Yeah. It's the easiest call in the world against this team.
And at some point, it's going to cost them over the top because safeties are going to start wondering. They're going to start trying to help because the guy's running loose. Corners are going to try. But anyway, listen. Again, it's the same problems each and every week. And we can sit here and say, well, it's only 3rd week into the season. Well, that's 25% of your season.
Right.
That's a big chunk of a college football season.
And there's no arrows pointing up. There's
nothing. No. I mean, you take away the run defense performance.
But as you said, against the terrible unexperienced offensive line,
they weren't very good. But I don't see the immediate improvement coming from the offense. I do think that you're right. I think you got to give this offense a boost, and that means personnel changes. And they'll release the depth chart here in about probably already released it. It's 11:30. Mike's starting his press conference. Coordinators will speak. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Mike says. See what that
there's a direct question about the quarterback.
I do. Oh, I'm sure somebody's going to ask him today. I mean, you got all the articles on just about every site were not very positive. So we will see. And the questions were getting a little bit more direct after the game. And
that's when the fire alarm was pulled.
Yeah.
So we may have another arsonist at work today during the press conference.
That's right.
I hate to break your heart, JP, because I went and looked. The depth chart is out, and DJ is still listed as number 1. There's no Brock Glenn or nothing. It says DJ is the 1.
That's insane. Yep. That's insane.
That's insane. That is a little crazy. There's no doubt about
that. That's insane.
What do you think? Did anybody on the offensive line change, Nick?
No, it still goes Washington, Leonard, Smith, and then right guard it says Keandre or TJ, and then Byers at right tackle.
So same thing. They haven't changed it because Byers hadn't played in 2 weeks, and he's still listed as a starter. And Washington got hurt before this game and didn't play a snap. And listen. What we're getting is. He's just recycling the same list.
Yeah, everything.
Listen, if Brock, unless he comes out and says Brock's not playing this week, he's still DJ. You start. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's some strategic advantage to not divulging who your starting quarterback is going to be. But
it's silly.
Yeah, I think it's silly too. But
anyway, change. Listen, this is.
If I were him, I'd just come out and say it like as a motivating point to the fans. By the way, if you want the stadium half empty, start DJU. And that matters, by the way. It actually matters that the fans are enthused as well. And you want to kill your fan base, just keep telling them we're going with DJU. And I'm not, listen, you don't have to you listen to the fans. You're going to be sitting with them. I get it. But sometimes everybody can see the obvious that you can't see.
Well, listen, and it's funny that you say that because yesterday I'm watching tape and I'm copying things on my phone so I can throw them on the thread.
Yeah, great stuff.
And I noticed that one of FSU's coaches liked one of my tweets about my analysis post game. What the hell are you doing paying attention to what I'm doing on a Sunday? You've got plenty to do, man. And if it was a recruiting story, which we'd love for the coaches to like, that way players know that the coaches are reading them, and I wish they'd retweet all our recruiting stuff. But
by the way, we got to talk about this, and I know you're long, but just give me a little bit on recruiting because I feel I'm reading all this stuff, and and maybe not just your stuff, but that everybody's running and everybody's decommitting. Like, how bad is it?
Well, listen, obviously you had the two last week, and Myron Charles and Javion Hilson. It's funny, we were sitting around watching the game and post game, and my brother's sitting next to me, and he goes, "Well, damn, Tramel Jones just don't want Instagram Live." I was like, "Oh God, it can't get any worse." I don't know what he did. It had nothing to do with recruiting, but my first thought was, "Here comes another decommit," just because of what had just happened and the timing of the.
Well, they all should know that they can play
live. But listen, I think that they were. I think they were. They had TJ offered, the 4-star linebacker is committed to Ohio State in here this weekend. You know, his post visit interview, he was relatively positive. He goes, "Listen, I'm not reading a whole bunch into the 0-3 record." He goes, "My team's 0-3. We haven't played our best football yet. Florida State probably hasn't played theirs. This is more about how I fit in their system, how quickly I can play." He said all the right things. Now he's going back to Columbus for the Ohio State-Michigan game, so probably not really a good chance to grab him. But listen, I think there was going to be some guys they were going to lose out of this class regardless of what happened. You've got Georgia coming after some key recruits. Obviously Georgia's playing at a high level right now. The losing makes it harder to hold on to these kids. But listen, Florida State, still a program that should be easy to recruit to. They've got to stop the bleeding. They've got to figure out a way to get some wins, something positive going on with this program to help with recruiting. But yeah, certainly we've seen them expand their board at defensive end with several new offers over the last week to 2025 kids. So they are, they're doing their due diligence. They're searching nationwide to try to replace the 2 kids they lost. And listen, one of the kids they found is a late bloomer. He's never played football before this year. It's a kid out of Houston, Texas, Toby Hostrup. Now he's blowing up. I mean, he had 0 offers on September 1st. He's got about 30 now. I mean, he's the kid's absolute track guy, 10-8, 100-meter guy. He's one of his coaches thinks Florida State's the place for him.
That's positive.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, and Florida State, you got that Seminole on your chest. You should be able to recruit pretty good. You should sell the winning tradition. You should sell the fact that Mike won 23 games over the last 2 years. And the fact that this, if you turn it around once, you can turn it around twice. So there's a lot to sell still. It is Florida State, but certainly there's nothing positive going on right now around this program, and they got to find something to build on, and they've got to get this corrected.
They have nothing else. Brock's got some Casey Weldon in him. I remember how Casey used to play, and it was energetic, and it was got the he'd escape, make some great run. He's got got a little Baker Mayfield in him, and you see how that rallied the Bucs yesterday.
Your boy had a big day.
Yeah, he did. He did, man. And it's not about the passing numbers, it's just about the grit that he shows on every play, and he can move and he can do stuff. He's not just a statue back there, and he gives your team life. The quarterback's everything. You know that. And you were the first one on this. So I
think that any time, particularly as an offensive lineman, I was a center, and I remember in high school and in college, it mattered who was behind.
Damn right.
It may not always be the guy with the most talent. It may not always be the biggest guy, the fastest guy, the guy with the strongest arm. There's a guy that I'm not saying that they don't play hard for.
They don't.
The backup quarter. I mean, I'm just saying my effort never wavered, no matter who was behind center. Now my confidence might be stronger with one guy versus the next. And hey, we got this. We got our guy back. He's back from injury. Let's roll with this. Or hey, he's finally got his shot. We believe in him. Let's not.
Well, if your quarterback's running around back there, you make a couple blocks, and it's a 10-second scramble, and he throws the ball 40 yards down the field, hits a guy dead and straight. And are you running to the next? Are you sprinting down the field? Yeah, you are. And when you look behind you and you got your guy blocked and he goes down again for the 14th time because he can't move, are you even running to the sideline? No, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Again, this guy's whatever. All right. We covered it. Pat, tell everybody how they can get your great content, my man.
Yeah, go to theosceola.com or floridastate.rivals.com. We've got a lot of we got our live updates on Mike Norvell, Adam Fuller, and John Papage's press conference. We got our second look Sunday where I broke down the entire game, took the play sheet, ran through every play. Now, towards the end of the game, I kind of do synopsises on the last couple of drives, but it's every play watched, commented on. Then Bob's got his article on it's time to put some 5 freshmen in. Who he thinks those freshmen should be. We got PFF grades for the guys, which are not very good, obviously. And then Kurt's got a really good column on the fact that it's time. The youth movement is here. Time to pivot. See if FSU can save its future, because that is what it's fighting for right now, on the field and off.
All right, partner. Great stuff as always. The great Pat Burnham at Osceola Pat. Get all the breakdowns there. Thanks, partner.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, back to the rest of the NFL. God, we need 3 hours on Monday, don't we, Nikki?
We're not beholden to a time restraint, so it's
we're not. That's true.
If we got to go a little over, I'm okay with it.
But screw it. All right, so we'll get to all that stuff. We're brought to you by the great folks at Third Generation Plumbing and AC. Their website is thirdgenerationplumbing.com. Go there if you have any emergency issues. They'll get right out to you quickly. And you'll get an honest tech that'll come out there and tell you what's really going on. You might just need your drain cleaned in your AC. He's not trying to sell you a whole new unit like so many of these companies do. And that's what you want, right? You don't mind paying as long as you're getting good work at an honest price. And that's what you get for third generation plumbing and AC. If you got pipes are backed up or any of that stuff, they'll take care of it in a jiffy. Great work. And they've been doing it for 3 generations. So they're good at what they do. Thirdgenerationplumbing.com is the website. Tell them JP sent you. Back in 3. Stay with us. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and 0 downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best of the business. Golfers, listen up. The hottest new driving range craze has come to Rogers Park in Tampa. The Top Tracer range is now open 10 to 9 p.m. And just like you see on TV, every shot is tracked for yardage and accuracy, giving you immediate feedback. And best of all, you can virtually play the top courses like Pebble Beach or St. Andrews with your buddies. Plus, great food and drink options available in the well-appointed hitting bays. Very comfortable out there. Reservations highly recommended, starting at $25 per hour, including balls. Reserve at RogersParkGolf.net. That's RogersParkGolf.net. See you there.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. Hey, dudes, the Golden Diamond Source is for you as well. That's you. That's right, you guys. You want to shop at a jewelry store? You should. Why not get a nice watch? You deserve it. You work hard. Why not some sparkly cufflinks or a tie tack or a nice necklace or ring or maybe get something with your kids' names put on it? That would be nice, right? A little bracelet. Lots of stuff at the Golden Diamond Source. They'll do everything custom if you want it. You want to get it engraved. Or buy something for your honey. That's always a great idea, folks. Even if you don't have a great occasion, do it anyway. At the Gold and Diamond Source, always something for every budget there. Great staff, low pressure, just there to help you out. And they've been in business for 40 years, folks. So if you want to make sure you're with a trusted, and that means something when you're looking at diamonds, right? Is it really what we think it is? Right? Well, at the Golden Diamond Source, obviously it will be. It's 3800 Almerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, let's go around the league, shall we? A little bit, Nick. Or is there anything else you wanted to add to the FSU or UF discussion?
Yeah, a little bit, because I did want to get to Florida real quick.
Yes, let's do that.
But real quick on FSU, I'll just say, I hate to say it, but I really believe that Florida State is almost nearly back from a starting from scratch point. I know that hurts to say after a year where you went 13-0, but I think so much has changed from a personnel standpoint from one year to the next. And they just have not, like I said, until you prove that you can recruit at the level that you should at Florida State. And I don't mean just top 20. That's not the level that Florida State recruits at. Yeah. Right now, they just lost a 5-star Javion Hilson defensive end at a position that you desperately need to do that. Like, they're going to struggle to put together a top 20 class in this cycle now because of some of the losses lately. And the more you look on the field like that, it's not exactly helping you when it comes to recruiting. I mean, guys can say all the right things they want, but they're paying attention to what's going on at Florida State. And so there's some struggles there. And DJU as well, he was never this bad at Clemson. No. Even at Oregon State, you're talking about, Mike Norvell believes he can come in here and fix him or whatever. Yeah, Oregon State already did that. He was a serviceable to decent quarterback at Oregon State for 2 years. Are you telling me that their staff was able to get the best out of DJ Uiagalelei than this staff can? I'm sorry. There's a lot of indictments right now on Mike Norvell. They're not pointing in the right direction. And yes, personnel changes on this coaching staff have to happen. It's paramount. Randy Shannon, you should have never been hired to begin with. He needs to go. Everybody raves about Alex Atkins. I really don't see it. This offensive line, like, terrible. Show me the guys he's producing. Odell Haggins, love you, man. You've done a lot for this university. It's time. It's time.
He's been around a long time.
The only positional coach that, in my opinion, should not be moved is Pat Surtain. Everybody else, to me, should be coaching for their jobs, and that includes Adam Fuller, by the way. I don't care that he just signed an extension. They all should be coaching for their jobs. And
you can't.
I segue that to Florida because I think both programs are a lot closer than people might think from where they're at right now.
Yeah, Florida's got talent. They've got at least according to their 4 and 5 stars, right? They've got talent.
They have talent.
DJ Lagway is a legit talent. I saw some good stuff this week, saw some bad stuff. Their defense is an abomination. Since Austin Armstrong was hired, and it's one thing when you don't look the part. But when you don't look the part and your results are horrible, it's a really bad look. I mean, he looks like a paper boy. Like, I'm sorry. If I was there's most of the guys on the Gator football team look older than this dude and are close to it. They've given up 450 yards in 7 of 15 games that he coaches. 450 yards. Okay. And it's worse in the SEC games. They gave up 488 yards again in 33 points to an A&M offense that had their backup quarterback playing. Their defense they're soft against the run. They're terrible. And I don't see any adjustments being made there at all either. But I will say that at least they have some talent out there that they can build on in recruiting classes that aren't disintegrating. Yeah. And they're in the SEC and they're Florida and they know that. And by the way, they're
going to end up starting from scratch again because there's no way Billy Napier, in my opinion, is going to be able to survive this.
No.
But here's the thing, as I've been saying, you can get rid of Billy Napier all you want, but you better not let Scott Strickland make that hire, because let me give you some numbers on Mr. Scott Strickland for you. And this transcends just the football program, JP. Since Scott Strickland has been at Florida, he has made 10 hires across the board at the University of Florida and their athletic program. The total record of those head coaches are 200, 193, and 11. That is a 495 winning percentage. The coaches that preceded him that were hired by anybody not named Scott Strickland, the winning percentage was 709. Florida's athletic programs have won 8 national championships. All 8 have been won by Anthony Nesty and the swimming programs. That right there is Scott Strickland's tenure at the University of Florida for you. So you can call for Billy Napier to go, but you better put Scott Strickland ahead of him for what really needs to get out of that program, because that's across the board at Florida athletics right now. That's not just the football program.
Well, and what's interesting, somebody said up in the comments the other day is like, or on my Facebook, do we need to go get Lane Kiffin before the Gators do? And I was like, maybe.
I'm telling you right, JP, I'm telling you right now, I know you love Mike Norvell and he provided you goodwill, but if the Florida Gators land Lane Kiffin, watch out.
I know.
Watch out. Because like I just said, I think Florida and Florida State are very, very close right now with where they are as programs. Forget what happened last year. There has not been, ever since Mike Norvell and Florida State lifted up that ACC championship game or trophy on the field in Charlotte, it's been 10 months, I believe, that have gone by, 9 months, something like that. Other than the NFL draft, there hasn't been one good day.
And the NFL draft was just, it's great that it shows that your program produces NFL talent, but it also shows that you got a lot to fill up, and they haven't come close to filling it up. I do think, and again, getting back to both organizations, but for Florida, you can't just point to a bad quarterback. You can't. And that's so you've got to look around at the coaching.
At one point in that game, I looked, and I think somewhere between the second quarter, like midway through the second quarter, they flashed up the total yardage, and Florida was sitting at negative 13.
Yeah.
And this was worse than the Miami game because, listen, I don't think the A&M offense is any good.
No.
Quite frankly. I don't think they were good with Connor Wigman, and then they go to a backup, and the backup played better than Wigman has played, first of all. Yeah. But that's probably more about who he was playing. Like, the Swamp used to be a tough-ass place to play, and I still, to some degree, think it is. But right now, it ain't, no matter who they play.
No, not the last couple of games, that's for sure. And legitimate competition. I'm not, Sanford doesn't count, sorry. But against legitimate competition, they've been embarrassed on their home field. That never used to happen. Never used to happen. So Bailey Napier, yeah, he's done. They got to get somebody else in there. And I think, if they don't target Lane Kiffin, but I don't know, would Lane want to go? I mean, Lane's got a pretty good thing going in Oxford right now.
I mean, we had this discussion a couple weeks ago, and you told me that, if he got offered the job, he would go. And I said, well, he's built something really good in Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And
it's Florida's, I don't think he can win a national championship at Ole Miss. I don't think you can recruit that type of talent consistently.
I'd agree with that. As good as Norvell's been in the portal, Lane Kiffin's been right there with him. So that has certainly helped him.
At Florida, you can. You have no excuses at Florida. Oxford, you got a lot of – listen, people recruit against Ole Miss because of the Confederacy stuff and all that baggage that they have, and it works. There's a lot of black kids that will never step foot in Oxford. That's just that's not me saying it. That's a lot of recruiting people who say you're always going to have a handicap because of that.
Just in terms of their history and their tradition, they're just
the negative recruiting is always they're always going to be there. To some, it shouldn't, whatever. It is what it is. At Florida, you don't have to deal with any of that. You're going to have the best facilities now that they've upgraded everything. You've got the most talent-rich state per capita to pull from. You're in the SEC. You have no restrictions whatsoever. So yeah, I think Lane would definitely entertain that. And look, if you want to ask me right now, would I rather have Lane Kiffin or Mike Norvell? I'd say Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin,
absolutely. Of course,
it's not even close.
Of course, I would.
I have more evidence that tells me that Lane Kiffin's a good head coach.
At FSU, you're not in a financial position to do that right now. You just not.
because you gave Mike Norvell a 10-year extension.
Exactly.
Which did not need to happen.
I don't know.
There's been a lack of
sources are right next to Mike Norvell, and they tell me he was very close to taking that Alabama job.
Perhaps, but
So, but whatever, it doesn't matter. He took he signed, and yeah, Jimmy Sexton represents everybody, and he manipulates the whole damn thing. Yeah, of course. He's going to get Mike as much money as possible and get the new guy at Alabama as much money as possible. That's his job. Don't hate him for it. It's what he does. It's the way the system is.
Yeah, but this has opened the door for a Miami. This has been the perfect storm for Miami because there's always a trickle-down effect to this stuff. And Florida State and Florida are disasters right now. In Miami, you can talk about Cristobal.
Why did Cam Ward go to Miami instead of FSU? Well, I think he probably looked at the FSU roster and said,
Well, I think Miami was offering more, so let's get that out of the way first.
Yeah, the money. FSU didn't come up with the money.
No, that's why DJU did. That's why they kept DJU waiting.
That's why people are, the conspiracy theories about the guy from Oregon State who we hired as the GM was,
But
trying to get.
This is
DJU
what I'm saying though. Like Miami was,
even
though Miami didn't win the number of games last year that they probably should have because Cristobal gave a few away and they just had a 0 at the quarterback position. Like you saw it. They were recruiting very, very well in the trenches where it matters. And they got dudes all over the field. And because of Florida State and Florida's incompetence and really the ACC's incompetence, because that includes Clemson and whatever the hell they have going on there, this has opened the door up for Miami. And say what you want about Cristobal, the head coach on the field, the guy knows how to recruit and he knows Miami very well. And Miami is a hard place to recruit against. When Miami is rolling, those guys are not leaving that area. Yeah. It's just not happening.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. So right now, it's funny. On December 2nd, after FSU wins the ACC, the program is riding high as they could be. And that snub, I can sit here and bitch about all I want, and we know what it is all about, but ESPN won the war. They won the war. They devastated this program in one fell swoop. I feel sorry for the players. I feel sorry for the fan base. It was, and I don't, you keep bitching about it, and that's the problem, JP. It happened. It happened. It is what it is, and it took the toll that it was meant to take, and it's destroyed this program. No two ways about it. And the only way to get it back is to start winning football games. You bludgeon everything with just winning football games. And right now you got to rally what you have, and you still have some really good talent at Florida State, and unlock it with a new quarterback. I mean, I could paint a picture here. Brock Glenn starts the game. He runs around and makes some plays. It energizes the offense. It gets the running game going. They go out and win a game, and suddenly everything looks different. Everything looks different. Oh, maybe we can beat Miami. You can't. Maybe we can beat Florida. Probably will. But everything changes. Everything can change. You run off a couple of, who knows? You go down to Miami, you got a new quarterback that's energized everything. Stranger things have happened. Trust me. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
They got a lot of issues. They got a lot of
much more likely that they get blown out 60-3.
Right. All right. You want to go across the NFL a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Review some of yesterday's day. I guess I'll tell you what I learned, just a key takeaway. Like, I know it's only 2 weeks, but just on the AFC side of things, I've decided that there's 4 teams in the AFC. I have a 4-team bubble in the AFC already after 2 weeks, JP. And that includes the Kansas City Chiefs for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. That includes the Houston Texans. That includes the Buffalo Bills. And I know they're 0-2, but it includes, and I know there's a lot going on right there right now, but I'm still going to include the Bengals. Because for whatever reason, when the Bengals match up against Kansas City, it's a dogfight every single time. I know they can beat that team. They probably should have beat them yesterday.
They had them beat.
They had them beat. So as far as if they see Kansas City in the playoffs, I can't count out Cincinnati. So that's why they inch into my bubble. But outside of that, I think the AFC is not going to – I think that's going to be one of those 4 teams.
So it's 4th and 16. What are you thinking? With anybody else but Patrick Mahomes, you're like, game's over. But you're like, let me see how he's going to do this.
Yeah.
And the only thing more surprising than the second assassination shooter having done a commercial for BlackRock was the flag. Only thing less surprising was the flag coming in after that play. Like, you knew something was going to happen. Now, was it interference? 100%. It was interference. Does everybody
else get that call?
I don't know. Would it be nice if the ref threw the flag on time? Yes. Yes, it would be nice, because that just leads to more conspiracy theory, right? But he didn't. And he waited. Then he threw the flag. And now everybody – but it's interference. You're 4th and 16. How stupid can you be? How stupid can you be to make that play? Come on, man. You just sometimes. And everybody in the huddle is going, it's 4th and 16. Don't hold. Don't hold. Don't hold in the secondary. No interference. Don't hold.
Yeah.
And your account before the ball even gets there. It's so obvious. Golly.
Yeah.
You got to be better than that. You got to be better than that. I feel bad for Cincinnati. I feel bad for Joe Burrow after what they went through. And by the way, I got Jamar Chase. I started him instead of Nico. Crushed me. Hopefully I'll still win. Got Saquon going against Bijan Robinson tonight, head-to-head, and I'm up by 5 points. So hopefully I'll win. But if I started Nico, I would have crushed this instead of Jamar Chase. And he just looks lost. And that freaking penalty that he got yesterday, bitching about a hip drop tackle, which it wasn't even
close.
Like he doesn't want to be there. He does not want to be there.
Yeah, I don't like the language coming from Jamar Chase right now.
No.
But their next two games, I think, are against Washington and Carolina. So, I have to think they're going to right the ship pretty easily here and move on.
Yeah.
Some other teams, obviously, we shout out the Saints, and I brought this up, this offensive explosion for the Saints in 2 games. This is the first time in 15 years, JP, that they've had a different offensive coordinator. Pete Carmichael was there for 15 years. Now they get Clint Kubiak, who's one of these up-and-coming guys who's probably going to get a look at head coaching jobs next year if this continues.
Right.
He was the San Francisco pass game coordinator last year. He has reignited Derek Carr. Alvin Kamara at 29 years old just keeps on moving.
4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns. He's going to be the fantasy number 1 player at this rate. And this kid, Raheed Shaheed, my goodness, one of the most explosive players over the top to pair him with Olave. So the Saints look dangerous at the moment. So that obviously we're going to keep our eye on that. And of course, the Falcons play tonight against the Eagles. So we're going to get our second look at Falcons offense and Kirk Cousins as well.
Can't wait.
Can't wait for that. And I did want to point this out too, by the way, because the Carolina Panthers, again, I'm so sorry for Dave Canales for what he's going through. This is interesting. So Sam Darnold played well again yesterday for Minnesota. They beat the 49ers. Big win for the Vikings. Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, since they've left the Panthers, I thought this was interesting. They have accounted for 46 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. When they were in Carolina, 22 touchdowns and 19 interceptions.
Carolina is a dumpster.
Carolina is wow.
Anybody who and so many people did it. Oh, Baker couldn't even make it in Carolina. I'm like, look at that place. And Matt Rule was the coach, who evidently can coach in college, but has no clue what he's doing in the NFL. That was a dumpster fire.
Week 1, after week 1, the loss in week 1, they're already, after the Saints, David Tepper's already organizing meetings with Dave Canales.
Yeah. Dude, what are you doing? Get it? Stop. The Cardinals, by the way, are I don't want to say they're back, but they're making noise. And listen, when Kyler Murray is healthy, he's as good as anybody in the game. And with Marvin Harrison Jr., that's a lethal combination.
Yeah,
you can crow all you want about him. He won't stay healthy. He won't stay healthy. Kyler Murray. He's not going to stay healthy. He's just going to get hurt, and it's all going to go away because it's all dependent on him. Everything they do is dependent on him.
Well,
so get all the credit you want about the Cardinals.
And let's keep in mind the team they played. You think the Bucs are ravaged by injuries. The Rams are.
Yeah.
You couldn't have asked. And Cooper Kupp gets hurt yesterday too. So now you're without Cooper Kupp. You're without Puka Nacua. Your offensive line is in shambles. Your defense is being already. I didn't think very highly of it, especially with Raheem Morris out the door and Aaron Donald's retirement. So the Rams are in trouble. They don't look anything like a playoff team. And then I guess the last big excitement or surprise, the Ravens drop at home.
How about
the Las Vegas Raiders and Gardner Minshew?
Yeah. Maybe Brady's not coming back.
I don't think so.
Yeah, the Ravens are an interesting group. Christopher Cole says everyone's saying the Saints offense is good, but they played Carolina and the Cowboys. Carolina's a dumpster fire, and the Cowboys defense isn't fixed since a playoff game.
You don't just throw up 40 plus points in 2 games.
Got a point.
It's still hard to do. To score 40 plus points in 2 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. But it makes the Saints a player now. We'll see. When do the Bucs have them?
The Bucs have them in week 6, I think, because the Bucs go Broncos, Eagles, Falcons, Saints.
Yeah, at the Falcons and at the Saints back to back after the Eagles. Broncos and Eagles at home. then at Atlanta and at the Saints.
I'll tell you what, right now, I think the Bucs, we'll preview it more on Thursday, but I think the Bucs are going to smash the Broncos. I really do.
Yeah, it's an interesting game because of all the injuries.
I get it, but I just watched the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers, again, are so offensively challenged. They scored 13 points, and they won that game 13-6 because Bo Nix is just not ready. He's just not ready.
And another guy coming from the Pac-12, 6, whatever.
All those starts, man, but he can't throw down the field. He just cannot do it.
Yeah, it's a little different in the real world. LL Marks, good to see you. Just want to mention the touchdown saving push out of bounds of Gibbs by Izium with 33 seconds left would have been game over. Yeah, listen, the defense, we talked about it in the beginning, LL. It was a gutsy effort, great tackling, great effort, great everything, play in and play out. Fourth downs, third down, they made him come back time and time again. All the momentum swings that went the Lions' way because of some of those plays, most defenses just capitulate. They came back play after play and made plays. Could not be more proud of that team. As we end this show, I think it's fitting to get back to one of the grittiest, gutsiest wins we've ever seen from the Buccaneers. Now, does it mean anything next week? No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It tells us this team is tough as hell, and they're not going to lose. They're not going to be out-efforted. So that's good. But, again, injuries in this league will just absolutely kill you. And right now they need to get healthy. But, hey, no better time to have the Broncos coming to town. That's about as easy a game as you can get in the NFL right now, right? Besides seeing the Panthers, right?
Yeah. It's the Panthers.
God, how bad are the Panthers going to be at
the Patriots aren't easy to play against. That's the Bengals and that's Seattle who had to win in overtime.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, great job, Nick. Thank you all who have chatted in the comments here today. We love you guys being part of the show. We try to make you a big part of the show, so thank you for doing that. Don't forget to please go and follow my new Twitter at the JP Peterson Show. Nick Geddes News. Follow Nick there. And please like and subscribe on our YouTube page. We need to get those subscribers up. Please, please, please go to the YouTube page, the JP Peterson Show, and like and subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow. Scott Reynolds will be joining us. TJ Reeves. We'll see you on Tuesday.